Welcome to the channel. This is part 2 of a series in which I go over DVDs in my collection that for whatever reason I just can't part with, whether it being something sentimental, or there not being an HD release, or that the DVD is just rad and it's a cool display piece. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. First up is this Batman Begins limited edition gift set. This was released around the time before Dark Knight came out, because it comes with a voucher to get money off your ticket for the Dark Knight. This is a pretty cool edition, and if you haven't noticed by now, I really like lenticular covers. I love this movie and have bought a few editions of it, and probably could warrant a collection video on the Dark Knight trilogy, so stay tuned for that. Also, I like how this movie came with a USB stick, and on it was images from the Dark Knight. It's a very small USB, only being 128 megabytes. It's a cool release for the movie that reignited my interest in the Batman. Next is a Steelbook for Boondock Saints. I found this at a flea market a few years ago, and I had never seen a Steelbook for a DVD before, and so I bought it mainly for that reason. I liked this movie when I was younger, but I've kind of soured on it a bit since I watched the documentary Overnight, which documented the making of this movie and really does not paint Troy Duffy, the writer-director of this movie, in a positive light. So whenever I do watch this movie, I just try to enjoy the movie for what it is and the performances in it. Next is the sequel to Boondock Saints. This also got a DVD Steelbook, but never a Blu-ray Steelbook, which is odd since this was released in 2009, and by that point Blu-ray was the premier format to watch movies on. And this did get a Blu-ray to coincide with the release of this DVD. I actually bought this year off of eBay when I discovered this got a Steelbook. It comes with a bonus disc of special features, but it doesn't come with the Director's Cut, which got released a few years later. I do enjoy this movie, but once again, it was directed by Troy Duffy, so I gotta look past that, but maybe this time he wasn't such an egotistical jerk when he made the sequel. Next is a favorite comedy of mine, The Brothers Solomon. This movie used to always be on TV back when I was in high school, and as a teenage stoner, I would always watch it. I became a big fan of Will Forte after this movie, and MacGruber might be a top 5 comedy for me. Comedy is a very subjective genre, and this movie will definitely not work for everyone. Definitely didn't work for the critics, but I found this at an FYE and it was in a $2.99 bin, and I was like, well, this is a no-brainer. I hope this gets a proper Blu-ray release someday, because the only way to get it now is in a 4-pack from Mill Creek. Also, just an FYI, I got the name of this channel from this movie.
Have a movie time.
Next is the horror classic Dead Alive. It was directed by Peter Jackson. Yes, that Peter Jackson. If you haven't seen this, I highly recommend checking it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't seen it, since the movie isn't that easy to find. The Blu-ray is long out of print and goes for a lot of money. I found this at a flea market a few months back while killing time before work, and I got it for $2. Peter Jackson says he's been working on a new HD release of this in his first 2 movies, but news on that release is few and far between, so this DVD is the only way I can enjoy this movie. Next is actually a pretty relevant movie. I won't tell you why, but if you know, then you know what I'm talking about. First off, let me say this movie is pretty fucking terrible, but it is pretty nostalgic for me. I would listen to the soundtrack back in the day, in particular the songs by Taking Back Sunday and Strata. I bought this at an FYE, and the weird thing that sold me on it was that it was number 22 in this collector series, which happened to be my jersey number when I played lacrosse in high school. It's a pretty dumb reason, but I am a compulsive collector. This is a cool release though. It has a little pamphlet on the inside with some insight on the making of, and includes a letter from the director talking about what makes this release so special, which is pretty sweet even if this movie kinda sucks. It also comes with a prequel comic. The comic is a lot better than this movie, and it's written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, and the cover is done by Amanda Connor, making this purchase maybe just a little more justifiable. Next is a DVD collector's edition of the David Fincher classic Fight Club. I found this at a library back in March, and I bought it for just $1, which is well worth it. I already own this on Blu-ray, but that edition is far less cooler than this. It comes in a slip box, and there's a little booklet that includes quotes from the various people who helped make the film, and quotes from critics, including Roger Ebert. The unfortunate news about this film is that it is a Fox movie, so that means Disney now owns it, so we'll definitely not get a cooler release than this. Disney, if you're listening, please just license out your Fox catalog, because you're doing fuck all with it currently, other than just dumping these movies on Hulu. Next is unfortunately another Fox movie, that being Grandma's Boy. This never got a Blu-ray release back in the day, and at this point, who knows if it ever will, because goddamn Disney owns the rights to this too. So you can watch this on Hulu if you like. This is one of my favorite comedies, and me and my friends will still quote this movie to this day.
A new high score!
What does high score mean? New high score, is that bad? What does that mean? Did I break it?
I bought this recently on a trip I took up to Maine at a place called Bull Moose. Now I can display one of my favorite comedies in my collection, but Disney, I know you're busy remaking all your animated movies and squeezing the life out of Marvel and Star Wars, but could you try and find the time to put this out on Blu-ray? Next is the 2004 Punisher movie, the second incarnation of this character on the big screen after the Dolph Lundgren movie. I still own this version because it's the only way to watch the extended cut of the movie. It's about 20 minutes longer than the theatrical version. It doesn't make it a much better movie, but it gives more context to certain scenes, and it has a new animated opening to the film, which is done in the art style of Tim Bradstreet. This movie has been released on Blu-ray and 4K, but Lionsgate has never re-released this version of the movie. Also, the packaging on this DVD is pretty cool, plus it comes with a little pamphlet showing Tim Bradstreet's art that they used for the new intro scene. Tim Bradstreet is known for his covers that he did for the Punisher Max comics, so it's cool that he got to be included with this live-action film. I doubt this will get released on high def, so I'll be holding on to this in the meantime. The final movie for this video is Reno 911 Miami. This is another comedy that I loved back in high school, and it had been a while before I revisited a few years ago, and it held up pretty well actually. I looked for the Blu-ray, and lo and behold, this movie never got an HD release. Fox never gave this a Blu-ray, and once again, that means that Disney now owns the movie, so we are shit out of fucking luck.
God help us all.
Thank you for watching part 2 in this series. Please leave a comment if you have any DVDs that you also can't let go of. And as always, have a movie time.